Peace be with you everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Trevor, very grateful to have you here. And today's video I'm going to be sharing with you my weekly fragrance rotation, what 7 fragrances I wore last week, just about the first week of June 2024, the 3rd through the 9th. So without further ado, I'm going to get right into the fragrance that I wore for Monday. And while the first 2 days of June were relatively cold and overcast, June 3rd, which was the first week of my rotation this week, ended up being quite warm and beautiful and sunny, and this is a fragrance that I've been looking forward to wearing all summer long, and one of my top picks for the month of June, which I feel like is a good transition out of the spring. So I like to reach for citrus aromatic fragrances, citricy, lemony, fresh, vibrant, effervescent style fragrances for the summertime with a little bit of a green tinge to kind of transition me out of the summer, or the spring, sorry. And of course, Eau Sauvage is a classic in that category. One of my favorite fragrance DNAs of all time. Super easy to wear, a little bit mature because of the old school green qualities in here, but I think is still timeless enough to pull off for any person that can carry themselves in a mature manner. This is just an absolute stunning juice. Not my favorite flanker. There is a cologne flanker that has a white cap on it that I do slightly prefer nowadays, as it is a little bit more modernized. It kind of dials back the green qualities and gives a little bit more of a fuzzy, beautiful and sweetened quality to its lemon. This is still an absolutely, like I said, timeless fragrance. However, one that I probably got the most enjoyment out of wearing last week of all 7 of them. So that was Eau Sauvage for Monday. Next, we had for Tuesday a fragrance that I was wearing for the first time. Wore it because it features a coconut note. Kind of getting to know it. One of the managers I work with really enjoys coconut, so I was working with them that day, wanted to see how they felt about it. Must not have smelled me or been that fond of the fragrance, however, didn't get any compliments or comments at all on this fragrance, so it could have been sitting kind of intimately. Not exactly sure. I felt like I was catching wafts of it throughout the day. And the fragrance itself is absolutely stunning, just incredibly vibrant, citric, fuzzy, sparkly lime with the coconut as well, and a little bit of some boozy rum facets. This is Virgin Island water from Creed. Heard that it was a esteemed summer fragrance, and I can see why. The scent profile does characterize the beachy, tropical, yet also very vibrant and refreshing connotations that you'd be hoping to get out of a summer fragrance. I did get a really good deal on this one. I think the Perfume Spot was the discounter that I picked this up off of. They had a 25% off coupon going and managed to score this 100 ml bottle off of them for sub $200, which is usually like where I hope to wait out a deal on a Creed. I don't like paying more than $200 for a 100 ml bottle of anything. And so yeah, usually this one's going for upwards of 100 of that mark. So I got a really good deal on this one, and man, it is really something I'm going to be looking forward to wearing, especially in July. I feel like when I'm kind of more poolside, I want to say. Right now, being in June, like I said with the Eau Sauvage, I like to kind of wear more green citric fragrance, but this is really something that is worth getting your nose on for sure. Let me know if there are any clones that are better than the original on this one in the comment section down below as well. So that was Tuesday. Wednesday, overall, the entire week, I didn't have the best wearing experience. I have been battling a little bit of a sinus infection. I'm kind of stuffy still to this point, so my ability to even interact with what I was wearing was a little bit muted all week. But this one is something that I've gotten a lot of enjoyment out of in summers past. This is Wulong Cha from Nishane. Very similar in the scent profile to Vintage Green 78 from Banana Republic, if you're familiar with that fragrance. This is tea, some beautiful citruses, and fig. And then the fig has a lot of nuances from its fruity aspects to its almost lactonic, almost milky, creamy aspects in here, giving this, while mingling with the tea, a little bit of a hand lotion vibe. Really awesome stuff. Perfectly unisex, I would say, as well. It has this nice bitter quality from the tea, a little bit of a green facet in there, while the fig and the rest of the more musky elements kind of give it this softness that I could see being easily pulled off by anybody. really something that I think is a summer staple. It's just so easy to wear and so pleasant, and one of the few that I have gotten compliments on in the past. Nothing this week as far as compliments. I don't think anybody mentioned anything about any of my fragrances, so they were probably having just as difficult of a time smelling them as I was. But that was Wulong Cha for, let's see, Wednesday. Next, on Thursday, this is a fragrance that you probably cannot find anywhere right now. It was discontinued by the designer that put it out. This was their signature line fragrance. It was essentially a clone of Terre d'Hermès. You could find this for sub $20 for a little while, but it's pretty much dried up the stock. Luckily, I do have a backup bottle. This is Robert Talbott for him, and like I said, it's basically a Terre d'Hermès clone, although I prefer reaching for this over Terre d'Hermès. This has a little bit more of a lemony style appeal than the earthy orange in terms of its citric qualities. It also has a little bit more of a pronounced dry cedar quality to it instead of the more soft powdery isoe super type cedar. The blending in here is not quite as smooth or well done as in the Terre d'Hermès, but there's also a sparkly effervescence in this from the more lemony qualities that I prefer over Terre d'Hermès. Not too sure if I prefer this over Eau Givray. I think those are kind of two different of fragrances. This one comes a lot closer to the original, that I would reach for this over the original Terre d'Hermès, and this one has gotten me compliments in the past as well. Very animated compliments. So while you can't probably find this one, if you ever do see it at a discounter, especially for that sub $20 price point, pick this one up. So that was Robert Talbott for Thursday. Friday is when I usually like to wear niche fragrances, and this was one that I was testing out because I recently picked up a really good clone of this one, and I wanted to remind myself of the original. So for Friday, I wore Parfums de Marly Greenley, which is basically a really nice apple shampoo with some musky citric qualities going on. Very juicy citrus, very wet textural feel going on here. The apple is, I don't want to say synthetic, but it is artificial in the sense that it's more of like an apple that you would taste in a Jolly Rancher or a Laffy Taffy than it is out of biting a green, fresh, crisp, real Granny Smith apple. And the only criticism I would say in terms of recommending this fragrance is that it does have a little bit of a harsh sort of cashmere and ambroxan going on in here. It gives a really jagged textural feel, which is something that the clone I was testing out managed to fix a little bit. So there are plus or minuses to the clone, which I believe is called French Avenue Aether. Hoping to do some more content on that one coming up, but really enjoying that. And this was a really beautiful wearing experience for me on Friday, catching wafts throughout the day. I did reapply a few times. I usually get about 4 to 5 hours longevity with this one. I had about an 8 or 9 hour workday, so I did apply once, and it is just a really enjoyable fragrance. Not worth the money, I don't think, which is why I'm glad the clone is out, but if you have tried this one, you know how much of an awesome Dumb Reach casual wear it is. So that was my fragrance of the day for Friday. Saturday and Sunday, both couple days where I had to myself off with the kids. And barbershop fragrances are my favorite genre of fragrance, and while neither of these two fragrances are explicitly barbershop, they do have some barbershop appeal to them, notably some oak moss going on. So for Saturday, I wore Acqua di Parma Colonia Essenza, which surprisingly reminded me a lot of a fragrance that I enjoy called Patrick by Fragrances of Ireland. This definitely has more of a creamy, citric-y connotation to it, a lot more citric forward, a citrus aromatic if you will, whereas that's like an explicit aromatic fougere. But the oak moss and green qualities in here, and I think the rose as well, definitely reminded me of a more formal, nice, well blended fougere fragrance as this began to dry down, which is something that really made me appreciate this compared to the original, the Intenza, and the Fico di Amalfi, some of the other summertime flankers. This one had that beautiful green quality that I really enjoy wearing, especially this time in June, coming out of the spring. So this is definitely something worth trying, I would say. I think one of my favorite, if not my favorite, that I've got my nose on from the house. And of course, Acqua di Parma is very affordable. You can usually get the 100 ml bottles of their fragrances for the sub 100, usually in the $75 price point, especially if you can find testers. Those usually come down to around $50. So definitely recommend trying this one out this early summer, late spring season. This is Acqua di Parma, Colonia, Essenza for Saturday. And then finally, this is perhaps no stranger to those who frequent my weekly rotation videos. I think I've worn this every week for the past 3 or 4 weeks. A really nice hidden gem that I'm falling more and more in love with as a dumb reach for the spring and summer season. This is Chanel Paris-Edimbourg. Really nice, I want to say lavender, vanilla, musk, oak moss, Cypress and lavender, I feel like, are the two main players in here. A really nice lemon, citric, effervescent, sparkly lemon going on. Makes it fresh, while the cypress and lavender keep it very masculine and outdoorsy and woodsy. The green juice, I think, does a good job of characterizing the sort of pastel powdery sensation that you get out of this fragrance. Reminds me of a little bit of a mashup of Chanel Pour Monsieur with some type of cypress flanker, something in that boat. Really awesome, minty, powdery, masculine, outdoorsy, lumberjack style fragrance. It's like a very polished lumberjack is one way to think of this one. Awesome woodsy qualities, that aromatic sensation from the lavender. Just really, like I said, something that I'm really glad that I got my nose on, picked this up, and got acquainted with it since no one's really talking about it. Performance could be better. I get around the 4-hour mark with this one, so it's something that I do have to reapply, although that may be part of the marketing with this one. They're part of the Eau collection, or the water collection, so I could see these being somewhat kind of like the Un Jardin line from Hermes, and they do come in a 4.2-ounce bottle and right around the $150 mark, just straight off of Chanel's website. So I think it's a pretty good deal, especially for how awesome of a designer fragrance this is. Something that I have been having to fight myself to not wear multiple days in a row. So that was Chanel Paris-Edimbourg to round off my first week here of June 2024. Let me know what your rotation was in the comment section down below, and as always, I really appreciate you sticking with me to the end of this one. I'll see you in the next. Take care.